The ANC held its National Working Committee meeting this week. The party's Secretary General Fikile Mbalula has briefed the media on the meeting's outcomes. Let's go to our senior reporter Siphamandla Goge, who was at Luthuli House during this briefing. Sipa, of course, one of the big questions from journalists was around Russia and the fact that we expect their president, Vladimir Putin, to come here in August. But we've got the ICC. Did he say anything about that?
He did not want to comment on that, but we pushed him to comment on it because the ANC is a governing party, excuse me, in South Africa. There is no way there would be such a big development that everyone is talking about in South Africa to say, how is the government of the ANC going to deal with the issue of Russian President Vladimir Putin when he lands in South Africa attending that BRICS summit, the 15th BRICS summit? How are they going to deal with this issue of the warrant of arrest that has been issued by the International Criminal Court of Justice? So that's where the quagmire is for the ANC-led administration. It's not for the first time that they are undergoing such a diplomatic quagmire. Remember what happened with former Sudanese president that had to leave the country. It became a huge international story. It would appear that it's round number 2 now with Russia and the ongoing war in Ukraine, the latest developments regarding the warrant of arrest that has been issued. The ANC as a governing party is trying to push everything to its deployees to government to say, let the government of the day deal with that matter. We are not going to respond. We will wait for the guidance from the government, but it's not going to be an easy thing like that to push away because they are the governing party. But this is how Mr. Mbalula responded to the question I asked him.
We are the signatory to the Roman statutes, and so we've got to look at to what is it that we can do. It is something else that the big brothers in this world are not signatories to the Roman statutes. They can do as they want. They are policemen. They can enter countries as and when they want. They can cause wars and everywhere else. But they want to dictate what must happen to others. All the big brothers in the world, most of them are not part of this ICC. We in South Africa, because of our human rights and our own background in terms of fighting apartheid and all of that, in our young democracy, we're among the countries that went to sign. So we don't regret that. Government has been given a mandate by the ANC, and we're giving space to them to deal with this particular matter.
And it's about BRICS relations and many other things, Sipa, that they themselves mention in their own policy documents. But let's move on to the former President Thabo Mbeki writing a letter to the Deputy President of the ANC. Did he respond to that letter of concern?
It appears that the Secretary General of the ANC, Mr. Mbalula, is concerned about the leaks rather than the contents of that letter. He did confirm that indeed they received the letter, that indeed it's the former president's letter. He says they will be engaging with the former president, trying to get, what he has addressed there, and also they will be presenting their side of the story to the former president. Perhaps for context for our viewers, the former president is highlighting a number of things really, quite 3 main important points that he's raising there on how the ANC, particularly in Parliament, has dealt with the issue of the Phala Phala report, the Section 89 independent panel report on how to deal with Phala Phala, whether President Ramaphosa has got a case to answer. The former president also weighing in on the ANC's decision not to support the establishment of a committee to investigate what is happening at ESCOM. So he has raised a number of things. He is of the view in his letter that all those decisions and positions by the ANC may alienate the voters and the electorate who may feel that the governing party is not serious about dealing with allegations of corruption involving its leaders and the governing party as a whole. He is questioning the nature and the way that the ANC has dealt with the Phala Phala report in Parliament, and also not supporting putting a motion, or rather the establishment of a committee to investigate what is going on at Eskom in light of the allegations that were raised by the former CEO, Mr. Enra de Ruyter, who has alleged that a number of senior ANC members and leaders may be involved in what is called the cartels at Eskom. So Mr. Mbalula responding, saying, well, they will not write back to the former president because he says it's not the nature and the way of doing things to correspond through letters. He says they will be making time and seeking audience with the former president so that they will present the position of the party. He says the officials of the ANC will be meeting with him. Let's please take a listen to the Secretary General of the ANC.
The ANC finds it regrettable that a letter from former President Thabo Mbeki directed at national officials have landed in the public domain through a leak. The national officials will discuss the letter and seek an audience with former President. It is only then that the ANC will consider a commentary on the contents of the letter and discussions with former President Mbeki. This is not the first letter. There are a number of letters the former president have written, and the modus operandi has been the same. We don't intend to run the organization through letters. Political matters must be ventilated and be engaged upon openly with the leadership. President Mbeki is our veteran, and when he raises views and concerns, we've got to listen, and we also give him our side of the story.
What did he say about the ANC Youth League, Sipha? I mean, the last time we saw a president there was back in 2018. Is he saying they'll finally go to Congress?
He's optimistic. He says by the end of June they would have held their conference. Of course, that's a promise that has been made by the previous ANC leaders in this regard. Mr. Mbalula conceding that they have had to reconfigure the national task team of the ANC Youth League because there were squabbles within the previous team. Of course, it's not been disbanded. That is the national task team. It's been reconfigured. A number of new leaders have been brought in. Some who were leading have been relieved of their duties because Mr. Mbalula says the previous structure had a lot of disagreements, and now they've had to put in place a reconfigured task team which will take the Youth League to the conference in June. Let's please listen in.
The NWC has decided that the NYTT needs to be reconfigured and augmented with individuals who can add impetus to the task of ensuring that a credible National Conference of the Youth League takes place within 3 months. We agreed that now, like never before, the Youth League National Conference will take place end of June this year at Nazareth.
All right, that was a snippet of that press conference that our senior reporter Siphamandla Goge was at Luthuli House earlier today.